A reader of the blog actually emailed me earlier and was looking at the crosstabs and said, wow, this is really unusual. More Republicans support DiNapoli than support Wilson.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I would have to take a look at those.
It's like 28%, 19%. It's not. In other words, the biggest problem is that neither of those guys are particularly well known. Now, this is a big problem for Tom DiNapoli because he's been in office since 2007. He was appointed by the legislature, and he's been there. So more people should have an idea about who he is. He's grown his lead over Harry Wilson. Never run for office before Harry Wilson, but he then reports that he has, $2 million on hand, or he's actually loaned himself over $2 million, and he probably could give more, and he's raised about $1 million and change. So, okay, that's problematic because all you need to do to make a person know you is, blanket them with ads.
Absolutely. Look, first of all, let's be clear. The numbers you were just talking about that the blog reader referred to were on the favorable, unfavorable numbers.
Right.
In the horse race between DiNapoli and Wilson, Wilson beats DiNapoli 2-1 among Republicans, although DiNapoli wins 2-1 overall. But what's most interesting in that horse race number is right now DiNapoli leads 48-24. We just talked about the enrollment of the state, 49-25. So right now what we're seeing is pure enrollment.
Like ham sandwich race.
Exactly.
Right? It's like it could be anyone. It's a Democrat sandwich, it's a Republican
Tom
sandwich.
DiNapoli is clearly one of the most vulnerable Democrats, certainly the most vulnerable statewide Democrat right now. If Wilson really has the kind of money it takes to blanket the state, then Tom DiNapoli could be in trouble. But Tom DiNapoli starts with a 2-1 enrollment edge.
Right.
He starts with a little bit more name recognition than Wilson. He has a record that is both attackable and a defendable record. I mean, he can talk about what he has done in 3.5 years as state controller.
Yeah.
What I think is most fascinating is we did 8 different horse races in this poll. 3 involving governor, 3 involving junior senator, 2 involving the senior senator, and 1 for controller. In all 8 of those, the Republican candidates get between 23 and 29% of the vote. That is your core Republican vote. None of these Republican candidates have yet taken off with voters. Not surprising, it's not campaign season yet, but none of them have attracted anything more than the based Republican vote.
Well, also, I mean, we are in the dead of summer. People aren't paying a heck of a lot of attention at this point. Eventually, they'll start to, and the real interesting question will be, you might get some disaffected Democrats, but the real question is, can you get those blanks? Can you get those small I independents, the big I independence party people? Can you get those folks to cross over onto your side? I mean, that's how George Pataki did it. That's how he won statewide. He run initially as anybody but Cuomo in a very conservative kind of a thing. I'll reinstate the death penalty. I won't raise your taxes. But then he immediately shifted over to the middle, and he commanded that place until he left office.
And that's what Al D'Amato did. Initially, he came in the Reagan year, and then his 2 re-elections were the same kind of formula. The question, though, before you even get to the picking off the so-called Reagan Democrats or the independents, is turnout. To me, that is a far bigger question. Who's going to do a better job at getting their voters out to the polls? Will Democrats sit on their hands? I mean, there's talk nationally that Democrats are less interested in this upcoming election. I think that's a very difficult thing to measure, because when you ask any voter on the phone, are you planning on voting? Everybody says yes.
Well, of course.
Nobody wants to admit, even to an anonymous stranger on the phone, that they're not planning on voting. So, but the real question is, which party does a better job of energizing their voters? The Republicans have the advantage of saying, look, we have a great congressional candidate, Congress is a disaster, we have great legislative candidates, the state legislature is a disaster, and the Democratic advantage is we have Andrew Cuomo, we have Chuck Schumer, we have great statewide candidates.
Yep. So, well, one thing you can't poll is turnout, so we really don't know. That's the big question mark. And
we'll start looking at likely voters as opposed to registered voters once we get after primary day.
Very good, and we'll be having you on again, of course, and we'll be also seeing you here for Insiders. Look forward to that.
Great. Thanks, Liz.
Greenberg.